I never thought I'd be the guy writing this kind of thing, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been with Laura for about 3 years now. We were pretty much planning to get married in a few days. Everything was supposed to be perfect. I had my doubts here and there, small things, weird little comments she made, the way she was secretive about her phone sometimes. But I convinced myself she was just being protective or maybe just stressed with wedding plans. Anyway, I trusted her, or at least I thought I did. Laura is the type of woman who always knew exactly what to say and how to act when she wanted something. She's beautiful, charming, and knows how to get her way. But beneath that, I always had this nagging feeling that she was hiding something, and I guess I ignored it or brushed it off because I was too busy planning the wedding. She was also a bit bitchy, never shy about throwing a tantrum if things didn't go her way or if someone questioned her. But I thought, that's just her personality. I didn't realize just how deep her lies went until the night I found out everything was falling apart. It started with her changing her phone pattern. She'd hide her messages, act nervous when I'd try to look over her shoulder, and sometimes she'd get calls or texts late at night, then quickly turn off her phone when I walked in the room. I told myself it was just work stuff or her friends, but deep down, I knew something was off. She'd also been acting more distant lately, less affectionate, more irritable. The night before the wedding, she snapped at me over something stupid, and I felt like my stomach was twisting in knots, but I told myself to relax. We were about to get married. I didn't want to ruin it before it even started. Then, yesterday, I decided to check her phone when she went to the bathroom. Honestly, I was just trying to see if she was hiding anything that would blow up in my face. I didn't think I'd find what I did. I opened her messages and saw a string of texts from a number I didn't recognize. At first, I thought it was just some friend she'd been talking to, but then I saw a message that made my blood run cold. Can't wait to see you tonight. Been thinking about last time, love you. The last part, love you. That's when I realized something was seriously wrong. I kept scrolling, and that's when I saw a photo she had sent, her in bed with someone, her clothes half off and a guy's hand grabbing her thigh. The caption was, "Can't wait to finally be with you." I sat there, staring at the screen, too stunned to move. My mind was racing, trying to process what I'd just seen. That was her phone, her private messages, her secret. And that photo, she was cheating on me on the night before our wedding. I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. My hands trembled as I clutched her phone, trying to breathe through the shock. How did I miss all the signs? How could she lie to my face for months? I'd been planning to spend the rest of my life with her, and now I was staring at proof she'd been lying all along. I didn't even have the energy to cry or yell. I just felt empty, like my world had crumbled in that moment. I didn't sleep that night. Honestly, I couldn't. My mind kept replaying everything I saw, her smiling in that photo, her lying about where she was, the way she acted like she loved me. It all felt like a sick joke. I kept asking myself how I didn't see it coming, how I let myself believe she was telling the truth. The worst part, I still loved her, or at least I did until I saw that photo. It was like a switch flipped in my head, and suddenly all the warmth I felt for her turned into cold, hard anger. I couldn't just confront her right then because I knew I'd lose it if I did. Instead, I decided I needed to gather my thoughts, figure out what I was going to say and how I was going to do this. I went over every detail again and again. Her lies, the signs I ignored, the way she played innocent every time I asked about things. I felt so betrayed, so humiliated. How could she do this to me? After everything I'd done, everything I'd given her, she still managed to lie and cheat behind my back. And with my best friend, no less. That piece of shit, Jason. I've known him for years, and now I find out he's been sleeping with my wife while I was planning the wedding. The next morning, I woke up early, knowing there was no way I could keep this a secret anymore. I had to confront her. I didn't want to do it in front of anyone else, just us, so I waited until she was in the shower. I grabbed her phone, took a deep breath, and messaged her from her own device, telling her I needed to talk. When she got out, I made her sit down, her eyes already narrowing like she knew what was coming. I laid her phone on the table, showing her the messages, the photo, everything I'd found. Her reaction was exactly what I expected. She scoffed, rolled her eyes, and raised that damn tone she always used when she thought she was the smartest person in the room. "Oh, come on, Mike, you're overreacting. That's just some stupid joke or a misunderstanding. Jason and I, we're just friends. Besides, you don't even know what you're looking at." She tried to brush it off, acting like I was delusional, but I wasn't stupid. I knew what I saw. I looked her straight in the eyes and told her I wasn't buying her bullshit anymore. I told her I saw the truth, and there was no way she could deny it. She got angry fast, started yelling, calling me paranoid, crazy, insecure, said I was ruining everything because I couldn't handle her being just friends. That's when she threw in the classic line, how she's been stressed about the wedding, how she's always felt trapped, and maybe she just needed some comfort. Comfort. Yeah, right. Like sleeping with someone else was just some kind of emotional release. I could see straight through her lies, but at the same time it hurt so much to realize I'd been played for a fool. My mind was spinning. I felt sick. The person I thought I knew, the woman I was supposed to marry, was nothing but a liar and a cheat. I felt a mix of rage and heartbreak. I wanted to scream at her to break things, but I also wanted to cry. Instead, I stood up, told her I'd see her later, and walked out. I didn't know what I'd do next, but I knew I couldn't stay there and pretend everything was fine. The betrayal cut too deep. That night, I stayed awake, replaying the moment I saw her in bed with Jason, the betrayal, the lies, the way she dismissed everything. I'd never been this angry, not even close. I started thinking about what I was going to do, about revenge, about how to make her finally feel the pain she'd caused me. I didn't want to just walk away. I wanted her to understand what she threw away, what she lost when she decided to cheat on me. That's the point I realized. I was done being the victim. It was time to fight back, no matter how much it hurt. The days that followed were a blur of anger, confusion, and a strange clarity I hadn't experienced before. I knew I couldn't just let her get away with it, her lies, her betrayal, the way she played me for a fool. But I also knew I couldn't just blow everything up without a plan. I had to be smart, calculated. Otherwise, I'd be the one left looking like an idiot, and I wasn't about to give her that satisfaction. First, I started digging even deeper. I wanted to know exactly how long this had been going on, how many times they'd met, if there was more I didn't know. I took her phone again, went through her social media, her emails, even her bank statements. Turns out she'd been seeing Jason for months. It wasn't just a one-time thing, it was a full-blown affair. They'd gone on trips, stayed in hotels, even had secret code words. Every new discovery felt like a punch in the gut, but I forced myself to keep calm. I needed leverage, evidence, something to use against her when I finally confronted her again. I also started paying close attention to her routines. She would leave her phone lying around, sometimes even forget to hide it. I started setting up small traps, like leaving my own phone nearby when she didn't expect it, or secretly recording her when I could. I wasn't planning to just yell at her or kick her out. I wanted to make her understand that I knew everything, that I had her cornered. One night, I even followed her. She told me she was going out with friends, but I knew better. I parked down the street in my car, kept a distance, and saw her enter a hotel with Jason. I watched them go inside, holding hands, kissing. It was surreal. I felt numb, like I was watching a movie I didn't want to be part of. I got the footage on my phone, proof that she wasn't just lying, she was actively cheating on me in the most disgusting way possible. I didn't sleep that night either. I just sat there, staring at the footage, trying to decide what the hell I was going to do with it. Once I had enough solid proof, I knew I had to confront her again. But this time, I wasn't just going to yell and accuse her. I wanted her to see that I had everything, her lies, her secrets, her betrayal. I invited her over to my place under the pretense of talking about our future or some bullshit like that. She came in, looking smug, thinking she was still in control. That's when I played the footage for her. Just sat there on the big TV while she watched herself walk into that hotel with Jason, her lips trembling like she was about to cry but was too stubborn to do it. Her face went pale, eyes wide with shock and then fury. She tried to deny it, of course. Started screaming, saying I must have faked it or that I had no right to invade her privacy. But I had enough. I told her I was done pretending, that I knew everything, and that she was a lying piece of shit for doing this to me. that I was sick of her lies and her fake tears. I saw her try to spin some bullshit. It meant nothing. Jason's just a friend. I was stressed, but I wasn't buying it. No excuse could undo what she'd done. All I knew was that I'd been played for a sucker and I wasn't going to let her keep pretending it was all innocent. The worst part, she looked furious at me for spying on her, like I was the one in the wrong, but I didn't care anymore. I told her she could pack her shit and leave if she wanted, since that's what she expected, right? But I was done being the victim. I wanted her to feel the pain she'd caused me, to see that her lies had consequences. That's when she started crying, begging me to forgive her, claiming she didn't mean to hurt me, that she loved me and she was sorry. But her tears didn't mean shit. She had betrayed me and I knew I'd never trust her again. Not really. Maybe I'd try to salvage something or maybe just cut my losses, but I knew I'd be better off without her. And so I told her to leave. She stormed out, screaming, calling me crazy and jealous, but I just sat there watching her walk away with her head high, knowing I'd finally taken control of the situation. That moment I realized I had to decide what kind of man I wanted to be, someone who accepted betrayal or someone who fought back. I chose the latter. The pain was intense, but I felt a strange sense of relief, too. Maybe I'd be better without her. Maybe I deserved better. Either way, I was done being her fool. The aftermath hit me harder than I expected. At first, I thought I'd feel some sort of relief, like I finally took control, like I was the one who won. In the end, but as the days went on, it was just a different kind of pain. Every time I saw her face in my mind, I felt the sting of betrayal all over again. I was angry, yes, furious even, but there was also a deep sadness lurking beneath all that. The woman I'd loved, trusted, and planned to spend my life with had turned out to be someone I barely recognized. And the worst part, I kept asking myself how I missed the signs, how I let her lie to me for so long. I started pulling back from friends, from everyone I knew. Honestly, I felt embarrassed, like I'd been duped, like I'd been naive for trusting her so much. I kept replaying that moment when I saw her in bed with Jason over and over. It was like my brain refused to let go of it. Every detail haunted me. Her face, her body, the way she whispered to him, the way she looked at him like she was finally free. I never thought I'd be that guy, the guy who gets cheated on, but here I was, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. I also started questioning everything. Was I not enough? Did I do something wrong? Was I just some placeholder for her until something better came along? These thoughts consumed me and I couldn't shake them. I had to do something to regain some sense of control. I began plotting my next move, not just emotionally but practically. I wanted her to see what she lost, the damage she'd done. I wanted her to feel the weight of what she'd thrown away. So I started working on my revenge. Not just some petty stuff. No, I wanted to make her regret what she did. I wanted her to understand she'd lost someone who truly loved her, someone who would have done anything for her. First, I contacted Jason, the bastard. I didn't threaten him or anything dramatic like that. Instead, I sent him a message telling him I knew about the affair, that I had proof, and that I was done pretending I didn't know. I told him if he thought she was worth it, then good for him. But I also made it clear that I was not going to sit back and let this happen without consequences. Then, I started gathering evidence of her other lies and manipulations. I knew she'd try to spin this, try to weasel her way out or manipulate others. I wanted to be ready. I started documenting everything: screenshots, recordings, receipts. I even hired a private investigator to dig into her phone records and her activities. I wasn't about to let her get away with this unscathed. This was my life she was messing with, and I was determined to make sure she paid a price for it. Meanwhile, I kept my distance from her, blocked her on everything, and focused on myself. I hit the gym harder, cut off toxic people, and started rebuilding my confidence. I realized I'd been giving her my best, only to find out she'd been selling me short all along. If she thought she could just cheat and lie her way out of this, she was dead wrong. I was going to make her regret she ever crossed me. I don't have a specific plan for revenge yet. Mostly, I want her to suffer the way she made me suffer, in some way that hits her where it hurts. I want her to understand what she lost, what she threw away for some fleeting thrill with Jason. Honestly, I don't know where I go from here. Part of me wants to cut her completely out of my life and move on. Part of me wants to make her hurt the way she hurt me. Either way, I know I'll never trust her again, and I'll have to rebuild that trust with myself first. I just wish I hadn't loved her so much, but that's the truth. Love doesn't mean shit when someone's capable of this level of betrayal. I guess I always knew she was a bitch deep down, but I never wanted to see it. Now I've got to pick up the pieces and figure out what the hell I do next. The weeks after she left were the hardest. The house felt empty without her, but honestly, I was relieved. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. Every little thing reminded me of her. The way she used to laugh, the way she'd flirt with Jason in secret. The truth hits hard. Trust, once broken, is impossible to repair. I spent nights lying awake, thinking about everything I'd lost, everything I could never get back. But then I realized something. I had to do more than just wallow in misery or plan petty revenge. I needed to rebuild myself. I wasn't just some gullible guy who got played. I was strong and I deserved better. I threw myself into working out, focusing on my career and reconnecting with my friends, those real ones who didn't judge me for feeling like shit. That's when I started seeing some clarity. Revenge might feel good temporarily, but in the long run, I needed to focus on healing and moving forward. One evening, I sat down and thought hard about what I really wanted. I decided that I wasn't going to chase her or try to make her see what she lost. She'd already made her choice. If she thought Jason was worth risking everything, then that was her problem now. My priority was to get myself out of this mess stronger than before. I knew I'd have to face the reality that I might never fully trust again, maybe never love her again, but I could still find happiness, even if it meant starting over. I also took a hard look at what I'd learned from all this. Love isn't enough when someone is willing to lie and cheat. Trust is fragile, and once broken, it's almost impossible to fix. If someone doesn't respect you enough to be honest, they're not worth your time or your tears. That's a lesson I'll carry for the rest of my life. I realized I'd been too naive, too trusting, and I'd let her manipulate me without even noticing. Now I was determined to be smarter, more guarded, but not bitter. Finally, I cut ties with Jason and Laura completely. No contact, no regrets. They lost me. I know some might say I should try to forgive, move on, or forget. Hell, I've thought about it. But right now, I just want to focus on myself, on healing, on making sure I don't get caught up in some cycle of pain. The truth is, I don't want her back. I don't want Jason. I want peace. I want to rebuild my confidence, find someone who respects me, and never let someone cheat me like that again. It's a painful lesson, but ultimately one I needed. I've learned that betrayal cuts deep, but it also pushes you to find your strength. I realize now that I don't need her or anyone who treats me like I'm disposable. I'll be okay. Better than okay. I just have to keep moving forward one step at a time and never let anyone make me feel small again. That's what I've promised myself. No more lies, no more betrayal, only honesty and respect from now on. Looking back now, I realize that this whole nightmare has changed me forever, but in a strange way, it's made me stronger. I won't lie, there are days I still feel the sting of what happened, days I wonder if I could have done something different, if I could have saved what we had. But deep down, I know I did everything I could. I was honest with myself, and I finally accepted that some betrayals can't be undone. The trust was broken, and no matter how much I wanted to fix it, some things are beyond repair. What I've learned is that love isn't enough. Trust is everything. Without it, the foundation collapses and all that's left is pain. I also learned that revenge, while tempting, doesn't really heal anything. It might give you a moment of satisfaction, but it's a temporary fix. The real healing comes from facing the truth, accepting what's lost, and choosing to move on. I don't harbor hate for her anymore. I just feel pity for the woman who threw everything away for a quick thrill. That's her loss, not mine. Now I focus on myself. I'm rebuilding my confidence, rediscovering who I am without her. I've started dating again, cautiously, but with a new sense of boundaries and awareness. I don't want to be naive anymore. I want respect, honesty, loyalty. And if I don't find that, I'll be fine on my own. Because I've learned that I'm better than the pain she caused me, and I deserve someone who truly values me. This experience has taught me that betrayal isn't the end. It's a painful beginning of a new chapter. A chapter where I take control, where I don't settle for lies and games. I'll never forget what happened, but I refuse to let it define me. Instead, I choose to learn from it, to grow stronger, and to trust myself more than I ever did before. So to anyone out there going through something similar, trust your instincts. Don't ignore the signs. And when it all comes crashing down, remember you're not alone. You're stronger than the pain, and you'll come out the other side better. I did. And I know I'll be okay, even if it takes time. Life isn't about the pain we endure, but about how we rise after it. I will, and I already am.